Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
He's back.
It's so good to have you back, Bernard.
I'm back, and I'm ready to bring whatever I bring to this podcast.
You bring so much.
Today we have a very special episode. We'll be talking about our games of the year. And since we are a retro podcast, that includes any game that we played this year, not just ones that were released this year.
I feel kind of bad because my game of the year is a game that was released this year.
Mine too.
I think I know what yours is, and I think it's the same as mine.
But before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
It's been a while for me.
It has. Update.
I've been working. Oh, I sent my visual novel out to playtesters, and they've been saying nice things.
Those sound like lucky playtesters.
Yes. Trish is one of the playtesters.
Oh, you go give it away? Okay.
Sam is not one of the playtesters because he's actually programming the game.
Yeah.
Well, then yes. I love it.
Yay!
Very good. I'm excited to finish it in a month or two.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, coming up in 2 weeks from today, I will then have 16 days straight off of work, and I will be replacing sitting down at a computer staring at SQL code with sitting down at a computer and staring at Python code. That's how I do vacations.
Hell
yeah. Oh wow, we did it in simultaneous. Hell yeah.
Here's how we do things.
So I'm trying to think of things to cover for my last week. And instead what I'm coming up with, instead of focusing on the thing that makes the bottom fall out of my stomach when I think about it, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what happened earlier today. Today, it was my turn to make dinner. And for some reason, originally the plan was I was going to make meatballs and fry up some potatoes because one of my housemates was really craving just some tasty house fried potatoes. Unfortunately, as I go to make it, I discover that when they did the grocery shopping, they didn't get potatoes, so it was mashed potatoes instead. That's fine. I have much more experience doing mashed potatoes, and I like doing it better. If you're wondering how I did that without full potatoes, there are these things called mashed potato flakes, and I personally love them because I hate any lumps existing anywhere inside my mashed potatoes, and mashed potato flakes give you a nice, perfect, smooth, delicious mashed potato.
Completely just talking instant mashed potato shop. Have you ever tried mashed potato pearls instead of flakes?
No, I'm curious though.
We used them I used to work at a summer camp, and I worked in the kitchen. It's weird how I basically never cook anymore because Summer loves cooking. It's one of her hobbies, and I used to be technically a professional chef. We used mashed potato pearls, and they were the best mashed potatoes I've had, bar just mashing up potatoes myself or whatever. But they were very, very good, and so I recommend if you see them to try them.
But so I just get started making the meatballs because that's the more time-intensive thing. Got to start with that. We're using a pound of beef we thawed out, and a pound of sausage. I get that mixed together with my hands. I put in the garlic. I put in this mixture of milk and breadcrumbs that I prepped ahead of time. I'm great. Now the next step is put in some eggs. One of these days, I'm going to remember that before I start cooking, I should check we have all the ingredients.
Oh,
because last night, my wife made breakfast for dinner, and she used all of the eggs.
Oh, no.
And the thing is, eggs, there's a lot of substitutions you can do in cooking. I've done so many substitutions when required. Eggs are a really difficult substitution if they're, as in this case, being used as a binding ingredient. You can use things like applesauce. I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head. There are a number of things. We didn't have any of that. Literally nothing you can use as a binder for instead of an egg. We didn't have any of it. So I'm staring at my bowl full of meatball goo that is missing an egg, or 2 eggs rather. And my wife is in the middle of running a Pathfinder session. I talked to it about it with my wife's wife, the darling Emma, and we try to figure something out. We can't think of anything, and so the answer becomes, well, we're gonna have to go get some eggs. And she offers to go down and like drive me, which is so sweet of her. I don't want to make her do that. She has a hard time driving. I don't want to put her through that shit. The nearest place to get eggs is Cumberland Farms, or as we call it in this house, Cumbies. Is it Cumbies, which is literally like at most 10-minute walk away. I just walk out, get eggs, come back. Having done this, immediately finish making meatballs, put in oven, make mashed potatoes, and I'm just like, I don't want to do anything ever again. It's podcast time, and I'm actually happy to do that because that's a very different set of spoons than cooking. I can sit down and relax and talk with my friends about video games, and so I'm very happy to be doing that instead now.
Nice.
What have you been up to, Sam?
I have nothing to report because I am drastically behind on this cross-stitching projects that I have due on Christmas. And a new Brandon Sanderson novel came out that's 68 hours long. So I have been listening to a Brandon Sanderson novel and cross-stitching basically every chance that I get. So it feels like we recorded yesterday because that's all that I've done all week.
Since you mentioned an audiobook, that reminds me, one thing I've done is I've listened to a few more Agatha Christie audiobooks of varying quality, and I can tell y'all more about that during Victory Lap if y'all want.
Please.
100%. Please do.
I actually got a similar Agatha Christie collection that I do not want to listen to everyone on. So I will take recommendations on which ones to listen to and which ones to avoid.
Well, the good news is her first novel, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, is good. So that's a great place to start.
Okay. I will start with that one.
And yeah, I'll talk more about my experience journeying through Agatha Christie's library on Victory Lap.
Nice. But before we get to Victory Lap, we're going to listen to one of the best songs that we've listened to this year, and then we'll talk about the best games that we played this year. So I have no logistical planning, so we're just going to go for it.
Okay.
So who wants to put up a game first that they enjoyed this year?
Best PlayStation 1 game I played.
Ooh,
for the first time. Ape Escape.
Ooh.
Ape Escape is good.
I love Ape Escape. That's one of those games because I never owned a PlayStation. I would play it at a Kmart off one of the like little TV setup things they'd have.
I feel like that's a good place to play it.
I think it's kind of the perfect place to play Ape Escape.
Yeah, I played Ape Escape for the first time. It's weird how it's this weird gimmick game, but also like once you get into it, it's like extremely brilliant platformer collectathon level design.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's just this weird gimmick thing to try and sell the DualShock controller.
I also played Ape Escape for the first time this year, and I rage quit right away because I was helping Storm, who can't read, so we skipped all of the tutorials cutscenes.
Oh, no.
And you gotta read the tutorials in there because the controls are not intuitive.
There are. So thankfully he was playing the PSP version, which is a little bit more mash friendly. But the very first level is doing the Metroidvania thing of the you can't reach this, come back later. But because he had skipped all of the things that were like, sometimes you might see a monkey that you can't get yet, but it's okay, you can come back later. I sat there for like 15 minutes trying to help him, trying to figure out how to get the monkey on top of the hill or whatever. And
I
you
know the
can't.
one you're talking about.
You can't get there right away. And I took forever until I looked it up, and it's like, oh, you're supposed to come back later in the game.
Yeah. You should give the game another try.
It's a fun
Oh,
game.
I planned on it. It just that my only interaction with it was helping Storm play it, because Storm got to another game that will be on this list, and he got to the Ape Escape level and loved it and wanted more. So I pulled up the old one for him.
I mean, that's why I played Ape Escape this year
Oh.
for the first time. For the first time.
My first award is the wasted the most hours of my finite and fragile life, of which I have only one award. This one was actually close. There were two games that really came to mind, so I'm going to name the runner-up first. Vampire Survivors. Great job. Probably have put more hours on you than any other game on the Switch, but you just could not beat the one and only Balatro. I have, at this moment, according to Steam, put in 275 and a half hours into Balatro, which is more than any other Steam game I have ever played.
So,
Wow.
funnily enough, Balatro and Vampire Survivors both were tied at number 4 for my games that I actually finished list, because similarly, both of them I now have on my phone where I played them. I have Siri shortcuts that forcefully close the game and don't let me play it, because otherwise I disappear for 4 hours just playing Vampire Survivors and Balatro. I was too smart for that system this morning and realized I just need to uninstall Balatro. All I'm doing in my entire life is playing Balatro. So the game is so good, I had to forcefully make myself stop playing it.
I have almost every achievement in Balatro. I have everything, not counting DLC, I have everything in Vampire Survivors. And I have all but 2 achievements. I'm missing Completionist Plus and Completionist Plus Plus are all that I'm missing. And the only reason I don't have more hours, I haven't played Balatro in like 2 months. So keep that in mind. But I've played it more than any other game this year, and I only played it like 9 or 10 months out of this year at most. And it's because I was playing with this insane mod that I've talked about on the podcast before, which I love to death. But then something broke, and I can't get it to work anymore. And so I tried to fix it, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I've stopped trying to fix it, because I know if I do, it just means it's going to start eating my time again.
Yeah. I had kicked my Balatro habit and had replaced it with plain Jane Solitaire, which takes about 2 minutes to do a game of Solitaire instead of 30 minutes to an hour of a run of Balatro or whatever. And so I had kicked it and it was fine, but I loaded it up the other day, and then I unlocked the plasma deck. And the plasma deck is so much fun.
It completely changes the way you play the game, because it makes the early game so much easier, but then you start to get to the point where it's like, oh, I need to build my Joker. I need to get my build in a very specific way, because if you play normally, you are not going to succeed.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
So for those unaware, Balatro is a poker roguelike where you get to upgrade the cards in your deck to be worth more points, and you also have jokers that do like Magic the Gathering style trap cards shenanigans. And you can level up 2 different kinds of points. You have your chips and you have your multiplier. And normally you want the really high multiplier because it makes your large chips number get even larger. But in Plasma, it divides. It adds everything up, divides it by 2, and so it
squares. It becomes a square.
It becomes a square of whatever the middle point is, and you then have to like overload on chips, and you'd never have to do that in the regular game. It is a very completely backwards way to do it, and it is so much fun. And I had to uninstall it because I could not beat the what is it, purple, right before
Yeah.
the second to last one. I couldn't beat purple with plasma deck, and I kept getting too mad and trying harder and harder and ignoring my
And that's a
family.
bad. Yeah. So in the cryptid, I can't remember if it's the cryptid or the cryptic mod. But in that mod, they add a lot of things that I think are very fun. I wish were in the game because so you have things like because you have chips and the multiplier, and the multiplier. In addition to being able to add to the multiplier with your jokers, there's some jokers that multiply your multiplier. So it's like oh, whatever the multiplier was, times that by 2, times 3, times 4, etc. And those are the best jokers. But
Oh, absolutely.
what Cryptid adds, it goes, well, what about times chips? What if you have a joker that multiplies your chip amount? And then also it adds some things at some points. Some extremely rare jokers go into what about like I don't know, taking your multiplier and add to the fourth power. Like what if we start getting more mathy with it? And I love it. I love it. It's ridiculous. And
I'm
also
glad I only have it on the Apple Arcade so that I don't get trapped
you
in
can
a
do
hole.
live code injection. So
I
will say
have not played Vampire Survivors or Balatri yet, and I am scared to.
I will also just throw out one of my favorite jokers that mod adds because you mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh, or you mentioned Magic, which made me think
What
of
a
Yu-Gi-Oh.
bunch of jokers! Imagine I had that sound clip on my soundboard. What a bunch of jokers!
That sounds exactly right.
One of my favorite jokers that the Cryptid adds is one called Pot of Jokes, and it's a Pot of Greed lookalike with the art. And the Pot of Jokes, when you get it, it makes your hand size 2 cards smaller, but then that modifier goes up by 1 for every round you win. So it goes from a -2 to a -1 to a 0 to start adding to your hand size. And so if you keep it going long enough, your hand size gets so ridiculously big that it makes making a good hand trivial. I love it.
I love it. But yeah, statistically, roguelikes have never been my thing. And this year, 2 of them got their hooks in me so deep that I think I need to go to a Vampire Survivors Anonymous meeting. So
I get you.
So since Trish took that one of mine, so I have 2 lists. I have a top 6 on both. And I have games that I actually finished and games that I didn't finish but own so hard I want to talk about them anyway. And so let's start with a one that Bernard will definitely disagree with. And coming in at number 4, because I'm going out of order, why not? On the games that I didn't finish but own really hard is Star Ocean 2R.
That game is fine, I guess.
So
we should finish it. I say we should finish it, but that would mean we'd have to play another Tales game, and I don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
God.
Technically,
why do we play suck-ass games on the bonus feed?
Because they're good. I love suck-ass games so hard.
Also, when we're mad at Tales, I think it's good content.
Yes. Because early Tales is trying real hard and fails in a lot of interesting ways and make it fun to talk about. But
anyway, you can talk about Star Ocean second evolution story or whatever it's called.
Yes. So a theme this year for in my all of my games is I realized that challenge in video games is overrated, and getting the dopamine hit of a shiny thing saying good job is enough. And Star Ocean 2 tries really hard to make it into an interesting game, but unfortunately the bones that it's built on, the original Star Ocean 2, is a mash fest, and there's no way to get around it. So it's still a mash fest. But the thing that I'm having a lot of fun with is they took out any of the remainder of the challenge of like knowing where to go. There's like waypoints and stuff like that, and so it's just a very fun and very pretty. I'm going to turn on the computer and I'm going to play some Star Ocean, and I'm just going to have me a good like 4 hours of doing the thing and enjoying myself. And it is one of the best times that I've had doing that this year. There's a surprising lack of RPGs on my list, which is bonkers because I am an RPG podcast hosts. But Star Ocean was one of the only JRPGs this year that got its hooks into me, where I sat down and I put in 4, 5, 6 hours without even questioning it.
Also,
And-
I will say, we haven't played since we got to the point in the story where the story gets good.
Mhm.
I'm sure the game is going to own a lot harder even after when we pick it back up.
Yeah.
Because we got to the point where the story gets interesting, and we haven't played it in like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, the as in every JRPG, when we unlock the second world map, boy howdy, do we unlock that second world map in a very exciting way. So very excited to see what happens next. But I've been a good little podcast host and I haven't played ahead. What about you, Bernard? What's next on your list?
Let's see. Well, I want to mention a runner-up for best PlayStation 1 game I played because I feel like this game deserves to be mentioned. Jumping Flash is a runner-up for best PlayStation 1 game I played. Utterly bizarre, very early idea of how to make a platformer in 3D, and I love it, and it's so weird. But an actual award, well, I have a tie on my list for worst game I played to completion.
Ooh.
I can't decide if it's Tales of Destiny Director's Cut or Sonic Generations.
I was about to say obviously it's Tails, but no, both of them are like good bad in different but similar ways.
The thing is, Sonic Generations, the 2D levels I feel like are pretty okay, whereas the 3D levels I think are a nightmare. And Tales of Destiny Director's Cut generally doesn't have as many highs and lows. It's just like boring throughout. That final dungeon is a nightmare, though.
Oh yes.
It's like a fucking third of the game. This is not Ys. We don't
No.
need this.
Definitely not.
But yeah, I don't like those games. But I played Sonic Generations. Even though I played it back in the day, I played it because Sonic X Shadow Generations came out, and Shadow Generations is really good. Like, really,
good.
genuinely, actually good.
I was hearing good things about it.
It is.
It's funny, as someone who's into the Sonic comics as I am, when I hear anything about the video games, I'm like, neat. I'm glad it was a good game.
You get to say that sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
What happens?
It's a good game.
Sorry. Sometimes I hear about stuff, I go, oh well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Shadow Generations is my award for best game I played this year that had Sonic in it. Because there wasn't a Sonic Astrobot. And I did play Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble for the Game Gear, and that game was pretty fun, but it's not as fun as Shadow Generations.
Did you play the remake yet?
Yeah, I've played it. It's sort of like a reimagining. It's good. It's really impressive.
Yeah, my main impression of it is just how impressive it is because I haven't.
It's real pretty.
What about you, Trish? What's another one on your list?
I actually have 2 awards for the same game.
Ooh.
First award is hottest scene in any game I played this year.
Ooh.
And the second is the I can't believe this game finally came out award. Both of these come out to Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Nice.
There is, I'm sure either or both of you have been made aware of this, but there is a scene that happens if you start to flirt with a character named Tosh, who I love. I love so many characters in this game, but they especially are just chef's kiss, perfect. And they respond to being flirted with in the most beautifully neurodivergent way I've ever seen, and it's so hot, it fries my brain. But in general, It's wild being reminded that it has been 10 years since the last game in this series. And it
Yeah,
is.
I don't know how Dragon Age fans have dealt over the past
I
decade.
forgot that the franchise existed mostly. Now it's back, and I'm like, oh, yay, fun game. It's a fun game I have issues with, but again, characters I love, some really hot shit happens, and I don't know, I'm mostly liking it.
The,
If I
the
could
only
if I
thing,
could get a 7 foot tall NB cutie to push me against a wall the way that Tosh does to your rook in this game, I would dissolve into nothing.
yeah, my only impression of Dragon Age: The Veilguard, because the only Dragon Age game I've played is 2, and I skipped all the cutscenes. I was not having fun. But the only thing I know is on the Digital Foundry video, they showed the black people hair physics in that game, and it's the first time in the history of video games that I've thought that black people hairs looked good in a video game. So shout outs to BioWare for finally getting that right.
Mm-hmm. And I think the way, having played further in the game now, the way it handles playing a trans or non-binary character, at least so far, works really well for me.
Nice.
And the way that one of your companions has a storyline about realizing that they're non-binary and examining what that means and how it relates to their relationship with their mom is just really good. There's several awkward dinner scenes, even if you don't date them.
Beautiful. I love that. So for this is a 3-way tie by games that basically only count as one game. But I played the mobile Klonoa games this year. And they're fantastic. So the mainline Klonoa games, of which there are only 2, and there are 4 mobile games. So maybe the mobile is the mainline, and and Klonoa 1 and 2 are actually the spin-offs. But the mainline games are action platformers. They are a 2-button action platformer. They're about getting your guys and jumping and doing all the stuff. All of they're mobile games, but not on your phone, and it's 3 on Game Boy
Portable
Advance.
is the word you're looking for.
Thank you. Portable games. So the portable games are puzzle platformers. You are trying to get from point A to point B and figure out how to do it and collect all your keys and all of that stuff. And so Storm is really into Kirby, and he had already beaten Nightmare in Dreamland, and he has no interest in completing the Kirby and the Amazing Mirror because he just wants to explore. And then he found a place where you can infinitely set up eating 2 things at once to get the roulette, and so he just gets the hat that he likes and goes and plays around. But he was wanting to play something else, and Klonoa is a action platformer in which you grab the thing right in front of you and then you jump and you use it. It's also a 2-button platformer the way that Kirby is. And so I was like, oh, you'll probably like this. And then he went to bed and I kept playing, and I beat the entire first one. And then the next day I beat the entire second one, and they are very, very good, very, very solid. And then I played the Wonder Swan one, and the Wonder Swan one is the one that's technically on my list because it is stupid cool. So the Wonder Swan, as you may or may not be aware of, has built-in Tate mode. So it has a second D-pad on the top of the device, so you can hold it sideways, use that D-pad, and then the other D-pad becomes face buttons. You can play your game sideways. And Klonoa on Wonder Swan, well, if it's a vertical platforming level, you just turn the console sideways and you play it that way, so you can see up and down instead of every other game where you have a vertical level and everything sucks because you run out of screen so fast. This one is like, no, have as much screen as you want, and it's so cool. And it being on the Wonder Swan, it uses grayscale beautifully. The Wonder Swan original grayscale is some of the best pixel art. I love it so much, and it was absolutely fantastic. It is quote unquote import friendly, where you don't have to know the Japanese to know what's going on because it's a platformer. So big recommend. Play that one. Play all 3 of them. They're fantastic. Play the mainline games. Those are also good. But the ones that I actually glommed onto are the portable games, and they're very, very good.
I also played a WonderSwan game this year, and I don't really have an award for it, but it's a WonderSwan game, and I feel like it deserves mention because it's really good.
What game is that?
Oh,
Makai Toshi Saga, uh, the first Saga game, which was released
ooh,
on the Game Boy in America as Final Fantasy Legend. Uh, it fucking rules. The graphics are incredible. It's a WonderSwan color game, and the colors are gorgeous, and the sprites are really good, and the mechanics are weird, but not like crazy weird. But
hmm
it's it's a really fun, tiny RPG about climbing up a giant tower and killing God with a chainsaw.
Love that. Yeah, I've always wanted to play the Legends Final Fantasy, and this WonderSwan one looks fantastic. So I think that is how I will play it.
Yeah,
Not
it's
that
a
the Game Boy
franchise I've
one.
always wanted to dip a toe into, and that sounds like a very good entry point.
yeah. The Game Boy version also has great graphics, but they're like great in sort of a dinky way, whereas the WonderSwan version is just straight up great graphics.
Yeah,
Uh, but uh, I am at some point going to play Final Fantasy Legend 2 and 3 because there's not WonderSwan versions of those games, but I do definitely want to play the rest.
what's next on your list, Trish?
My next one is the new Blorbo Acquired Award, and that goes to Persona 3 Portable, which is the one that technically I did play for this podcast, but I didn't play it because I was, what we were covering. Katone, the girl pro tag for that game, is solidly fixed herself in my brain and my heart, and will live there until I die. And I would never have her excised, even if she gave me cancer.
Nice. Persona 3R from the podcast is on my list. Persona,
Understandable. I was tempted to put it on my list just because of how much I loved it.
yeah. Uh, it's insane how much they knocked it out of the park. Like
It truly is.
you shouldn't be able to change this much about a beloved game, and every single change be for the better, and it be fantastic. Like,
Yeah, it is like one of the most effective remakes I've seen in video games, I think.
yeah, it is. It is a monumental achievement, and if it wasn't for the fact that a game that's probably on Bernard's list also came out this year, I think we would be still talking about Persona 3 Reload.
I just wish there would be like some sort of girl DLC because Katone is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand how hugely expensive it would be to add girl's side into it, but girl deserves to exist too.
Absolutely.
The only girl protagonist in this goddamn series, unless you count Maya in Persona 2, which does count, but at the very least, also the only protagonist with canonical queer romances. I I love her, and she has such a delightful personality. She's so just fun and spunky, and has such a delightful energy to her.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love the fact that they did so much different about Katone for PlayStation Portable, because a lot of times when you're playing a male or a female in a video game, it doesn't matter. They're kind of the exact same thing, but Katone's is massively different, and it's very cool.
It truly, the closest thing it reminds me of is the way that the writers are different in Mass Effect Andromeda. Like a truly like these two. This is not just a are you playing a boy or a girl. These are extremely different characters who feel like different characters in the story.
Mm-hmm. Very.
So I also have an award for Persona 3 uh,
Oh,
because I was thinking Oh, I can give Paper Mario the award for my favorite game I replayed this year. Then I realized, wait, I replayed Persona 3 Reload after I played it the first time.
It's true.
So technically it would be that.
Oh, a
That
game's so
wins
nice you beat
the
it
award
twice.
for yes. Um PlayStation did its big PlayStation Roundup thing, and my stats were dire. Um, let me pull them up so I make sure I get this right. Um, in June, I played Persona 3 Reload for 86 hours. Just in June.
That's beautiful.
153 hours total just for that game. Also, apparently, 90% of my game time was playing role playing games, according to this.
Very, very good.
So, yeah.
So giving some love to the games that I didn't finish but own real hard list. I finally played Digimon World Digimon Story Lost Evolution. That's the one. It's the Lost DS game that we never got. Someone finally completed a fan translation. I think almost 2 years ago now, but I finally played it this year, and it's so insanely good. So I played all of the DS ones except for Cross Wars, because that one doesn't have a fan translation yet. But I played all of them this year, and the other ones are not on this list. As much as a Digimon doofus as I am, Digimon World DS and Dawn and Dusk are fine. They are like they're their stories are like a Pokemon story, except they then don't have the mechanical depth and replayability and all of that stuff that makes Pokemon into a good game. It's like, imagine if you only had the story portions of a Pokemon game, and that's all of the Digimon ones. But then Lost Evolution comes out, and they do cool things with their graphics.
Whoa, the graphics are really good.
The story is I didn't finish it, so I don't know if it just abruptly ends like the last two did. But at least at the beginning, it is a much cooler introduction than the rest of them have been. It is very, very cool. But the main reason that I haven't finished it is I was playing it on my SP, because it's a RPG where you use the buttons. The touchscreen is basically optional, except when you unlock, I don't even remember what it is. There's a stupid, in Diamond and Pearl, how you polish your badges. They were like, what if this was critically important to the game and you can't get past it if you don't scratch your fucking screen and polish your badges?
Sometimes the Nintendo DS sucked.
Yeah.
Sometimes a game being on the DS was a bad thing.
Yeah. And so it rules, and I love it, but I have to go back and start over on my actual DSi, where it's probably going to look fantastic.
These graphics, I can't get over these graphics. They're so good.
Yeah, the moment I turn it on, and the opening thing, your character's at a festival watching the fireworks, and the fireworks are on the top screen, and you're on the bottom screen, and I
love that shit.
It is beautiful as hell. I highly recommend that one. It now, I haven't beaten it, so I don't know if it holds up. But if any person is going to play a single Digimon game, it's going to be Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. If they're going to play 2, it's Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. If they're going to play 3, this one is number 3. Okay. It is very, very good. You should pick up and play it. If you're a weirdo freak, you should play a lot of the weirdo freak ones, but this is one I would recommend to basically anybody. Who's next? I lost count.
I don't know. We all talked about Persona, and that sort of threw things off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go next. My next award is the I swear I'm going to finish this, please just give me another year award. Again, there were 2 games that were really vying for this award. My runner-up is Persona 4 Golden. which only didn't get it because I've only been trying to play it for like half a year. What once again wins, because I think it got a similar award last year, was Baldur's Gate 3. I
It's a
swear,
big
I
game.
will finish this game eventually. Please, put the guns down. I really like it. I'm farther than I've ever been. I just also haven't played it or Persona 4 in a bit. But I'll get back to it. I promise. It'll be fine.
So I have an award for best game with a title that makes me want to throw up. And
Ooh.
that is Metaphor ReFantasio. That game fucking rules. The mechanics are real fun. I went through the trouble of beating all the optional in-game super bosses because I was enjoying the game so much. It's really good, and I don't know how well it would hold up if you actually put some serious scrutiny to its political statements. But I will say it does very strongly state and sticks to it. It states if some charismatic leader is talking about making a pure meritocracy, they're full of shit and they're just gonna make fancier inequality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Good to have
And I'm
something
like, hey,
making that.
nice actually making a political statement video game.
Yeah, I have not gotten into my first battle in Metaphor ReFantasio, and it almost made my games I didn't finish but own real hard list. It is gorgeous from the moment you turn it on, despite it being built on the back of a PS3 game, and you can tell it's still somehow gorgeous as hell.
That's visual design, baby.
Mm-hmm. It really goes to prove my my hot take that we shouldn't have gotten better graphics after the PS3. Like,
So agreed. Agreed.
I've played a lot of games that have had way better than PS3 graphics. That the graphics have been fantastic, and I'm glad that we had them. But also, I would have been fine if games continue to look like that forever.
Same.
So one that I know all three of us will have plenty of quality podcast content about. I played Ace Attorney 4 this year.
Yes.
And
my favorite Ace Attorney game, me, the girl who wrote an entire blog at one point just covering Ace Attorney games, who has actually ranked every case of every Ace Attorney game in exact order of which one she thinks is best.
Which one is the best? Which one is the best?
What's my favorite? What's the best case of Ace Attorney?
Yes.
Oh, it is the first game of Ace Attorney 4. It is Turnabout Trump, unfortunately named, but otherwise the perfect Ace Attorney case.
Yeah.
It is such a fantastic snapshot of all the best parts of the series, all in one incredible tutorial case.
Yeah. I wasn't even done with the tutorial case when I was like, oh, this game's it's starting and it's going and it's not going to stop, and it is real good, and I'm very happy that we've gotten a shitload more Ace Attorney games. I also am really mad that Ace Attorney 4 wasn't the last Ace Attorney game, because
Get you.
It is a brilliant closer to the series that then has 4 or 5 more games in it. But
I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
Ace Attorney 5 and 6 you can kind of say aren't canon.
Yeah.
Because they're not by Shutakumi and they're kind of weird.
Yeah.
I love them. But
I love them too. But yeah. I think the thing that makes the existence of 5 and 6 and Investigations 2 frustrating is not necessarily quality issues, though there are definitely some issues with those games, but more just, especially in 5 and 6, like there is a way to continue from Paul Justice, even though thematically it feels like a perfect ending point to the series.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue from there. In fact, the very fact that it is not only just about closing out what is old, but also looking forward to what is new and the stepping up of a new generation. It's just that the next games just reversed everything that happened in it.
Yeah. That I did play a little bit of 5. I started it fairly recently,
5
and
is so weird, man.
the graphics are fantastic.
Yes.
It is one of the there are very few games where they make the jump to 3D, and you almost can't even tell it's that good of a jump. And Ace Attorney is one of them. It is
Yeah.
fantastic 3D graphics. Love it forever. The fact that the game starts with Phoenix taking off his beanie and being like, and none of that mattered. Here we go. Let's have a new game. Kind of was annoying.
Yeah, no, it's so. I have such complex feelings about Dual Destinies because Dual Destinies is, on the one hand, like you said, incredible. It is amazing how the character designs and the graphics are so Ace Attorney while also being the first 3D game, especially after both Investigations games, which it felt like the art style was kind of going in a different direction that didn't feel as Ace Attorney. So the fact that they nail it so consistently in 5 is great. But Dual Destinies as like a plot is just a mess. If I ever hear the words "the dark age of the law" puts my teeth on edge. It makes me want to strangle someone because it's such an infuriating retcon. and and also just the first case is really frustrating on the level of, hey, we're introducing another new character. I'm like, cool. Her name's Athena. She's a girl. And I'm like, she's dope. I love her. She's voiced by Wendy Lee. Incredible. Okay, she's only going to be the one you're playing as for the first, like, third of the trial. And then Phoenix takes over because she's too scared and she gets bullied. And I'm like, go to hell, Case. How many other characters at this point have had their own tutorial case where no matter how hard it gets, they get through it all? But no, Athena has it too rough. Time for Phoenix to step in. Go to hell.
Hate it so much. But Ace Attorney 4 is brilliant. Absolutely
brilliant.
Phenomenal. Top to bottom, no notes. I would change literally nothing about that game.
Part of what very small thing that I feel like we're missing out on because of the swerve that the games after took. I would have loved if Walkie Kataki became the Larry Butts to Apollo, like just this reoccurring dude who just like Apollo was constantly like, this guy's I guess my friend. I defended him once and now he won't leave me alone.
So good. Yeah, everything about it ruled. And the moment I started or I finished the second to last case and started the last case, I stayed up all night until I beat it. It was the game has a Sanderlanche as it were.
100%.
And it's very, very, very good. I highly recommend it. I recommend going out and buying the second trilogy and only playing Apollo Justice. I'm sure the other two are fine, but I recommend paying for the price of 3 games just to play Apollo Justice.
I would agree, but also, as much as like Dual Destinies, we've ragged on it a little bit. Spirit of Justice has things to rag on too. There are some things I really don't like in that game, but
it has good shit. Capital G, capital S.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Its last case is, I think, one of the best last cases in the series. It's incredible. And also the second case, which focuses on Trucy, is so good. It's so good.
I will get there eventually. I have to
You
make
will.
it
I believe in
first.
you.
Also, you gotta play the Great Ace Attorney.
Yeah,
that duology is so good.
Yeah, I'm mostly trying to get through these so I can get through Leighton and then get to Great Ace Attorney, because that's the Shukatumi Shukatumi path is
Takumi.
What?
Takumi. You said
Takumi.
Takumi.
Takumi. It sounded weird, and I was like, "No, I said it right," and I did not say it right. The Shu Takumi trajectory is he was done with the Ace Attorney, and then they were like, "Well, can you be a supervisor for Leighton versus Phoenix, right?" And he was like, "Sure. Actually, no, I'm going to just make it for you." And so that's the next. That's the real Ace Attorney 5.
I have so many thoughts on Leighton versus Ace Attorney. I also have I have less thoughts on Great Ace Attorney only because I haven't finished even the first of the two games yet, which I'm gonna just say right now is because as much as I'm enjoying it, it is such a distinct difference from the normal Ace Attorney games because it feels like I truly don't know where exactly this happened in the process of it being made, but it every case, not just every case, every scene of the Great Ace Attorney is about 2 to 3 times longer than that kind of scene in any other Ace Attorney game. It is wild. It is. I would never call it a slog because the writing is good, but it is just so much. It's just so much. It's like getting a sandwich that weighs like 5 pounds, and you love everything on the sandwich, but you're also like, how do I reasonably eat this? I don't understand.
Fair enough.
Who's next?
I don't know.
I think you went with. I think it's my turn again. Uh, I'm gonna go with my next award, which is the oh look, a game I played because of a new fandom I acquired. Parentheses, not new as in the property is new, comma new in the sense that I just got into it. End parentheses. This award is very self-explanatory in the name. It comes from because in the last year, I've gotten into Sailor Moon. I love it now. I just finished Sailor Moon Super S, very strangely titled season of the fourth season of that show. And because of getting into it, I tried a free visual novel, which I'm giving an award to, which is Life After Magic. I talked about it a little bit on the
Mhm.
show, but very
Oh, yeah.
Sailor Moon themed visual novel. You can get it for free on Steam, and there's a paid DLC that adds one extra route to the game. It is so good. It's so delightfully queer, and it engages with like the concepts of Sailor Moon, but also very much taking it in the realm of like that whole, just how what do you do when you have all these dreams, or you have what feels like a lot of potential when you're younger, and then it just turns out like nah, you just end up doing nothing. And I don't know, it hits pretty close to home in some parts, and it's really fun seeing the character depth displayed with all the different members of the cast, and it's just a delightful game. Also, I love is a really good pixel art, very like I would say like 90s, but like very older graphical style, which I enjoy.
Oh, I guess I should go.
You can.
Uh, Best game I played for 56 hours but didn't finish is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
That one is also on my list. I've played it for about 85 hours and I haven't finished it.
Uh, it I now I've heard people have trouble with the ending, so I don't know what my entire opinion will be once I get to the ending, because a lot of
Mhm.
people have problems with the ending, apparently. But it's such a good time.
It's such a good time. So like I mentioned, my theme on all of my things this year is games that aren't technically hard. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is absolutely hard, but it checks that box for me because 90% of the time what I was doing was I was hopping on what Storm calls a sticky feet bird and just climbing up some walls, finding people to play card games with, and just going around and doing the things, and going around and doing the things in Final Fantasy VII is really, really good. And then you hear Chadley be like, "Hey, there's a strong monster over there. Go take it out. It'll be fine." And it's not fine. It's fucking hard. And he wants you to then do it without like getting hit or something. And it's fucking annoying. And I hate it, but it's so good.
I loved those two. I love how Chadley is cool now, and he has a yassified girl version of himself.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have. It is so fun listening to you to talk about this game because I have truly almost no context for so much of this, and it's just, what does that mean?
he
Yeah.
invented a yassified girl version of himself to help him.
Yeah, he basically was like, man, I can't talk to girls, so I'm going to invent me a waifu, and it's going to be literally just a girl version of me. But also, I'm fucking annoying, and I'm going to be mad at her the entire game, and it's beautiful.
Um, Queen's Blood is it's stupid how good Queen's Blood is.
Yeah, they
Like,
need to
what the
spin it off
fuck?
right now.
I cannot believe that I am playing an RPG and I've gotten into the card game that everyone plays. I never get into the card game.
No, it is so stupid good. It is criminal that they haven't spun it off yet, or at
It's
least put it in Final Fantasy 14, where all of the mini games have come back. I'm surprised there's not Queen's Blood in it.
that is surprising. Maybe they're planning on that. I can't
Yeah.
imagine they're not planning on that.
Yeah, maybe it's there. Maybe it's there. I haven't played the new expansion at all.
God, I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Everything it is like the best fan service I've ever seen. And they have to expand really stupid things, but they do them incredible. Like, did did you get to Corel Prison?
Yes.
Okay, so Gus is just he has like what 2 lines in the original,
Uh
but now he has this theme song and this crazy intro scene, and he's just amazing, and I love
Yeah.
him.
It's so good. The reason it made my list is they do a thing that every game should do, and surprisingly no game has done. But all of the quests are easy, just like go over here and do the thing quests, but they tie each one into one of your party members. And so now
Yes.
it's go over and do the thing with Tifa, and that just makes it 90% better. And every
It
single
does.
quest
Oh, that
has-
sounds like such a good change.
yeah, it's like every single quest becomes a tiny loyalty mission where you get to dig in and learn something new about Tifa or Aerith or whoever. It's
And like that's
so good.
not an exaggeration. Like literally, the character's portrait will be next to the side quest in your menu.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is a Yuffie side quest. You
Yeah.
go have a little adventure with Yuffie.
It's very, very good. I also love the character arc of Red 13, not the one in the main story. The one in the main story is fine. The real character arc is the more mini games you play with him, the more people he lets call him dog, and it's beautiful.
I love Red 13.
It's so good. The change from gruff old man to anime protagonist for the spoilers for a gigantically old game. The big character change in the story with Red 13 is handled amazingly well, and the like face turn, heel turn, whatever turn you would call it that he takes from that moment on is very beautiful as well. I hope
I am just before that point. I have not entered Cosmo Canyon. I have been when I stopped playing just because I fell off it because life was weird. I had just been running all around Yes. I was just running around Cosmo Canyon environs, but I had not entered Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah. I really want to get back into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I have been playing another giant open world anime RPG. And
Ooh, are you going to talk about it?
I'm going to talk about it, even though I haven't beaten it, because it's ranked number 1 on my list of games I didn't finish but own real hard. I'm very close to what feels like the 2/3 mark of this game. No idea. I'm not looking up anything about it, but I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and
Hell yeah.
It's stupid how good it is, and how much, besides the fact that Matt came in and was like, this is one of the best games I've ever played, nobody else that I know in my entire life talked about it when they played it at the time. And it's very, very good. It the biggest crime that it commits is there's a main conflict with two sides, and half your party comes from one side, half your party comes from the other side, and then they realize that like, oh hey, everything's fake and we should be on the same side. You in New Game Plus there, and everything, you don't get to play as the deuteragonist. You only get to see from one side. If you could, yeah, Matt, I'm talking about you right now. Hop on.
I didn't want to crash while you were talking about one of my favorite games of all time, but yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is pretty great, guys.
Yeah,
I should play one of those at some point.
yeah,
Um,
you absolutely should. But not
Sam,
3. Even though 3 rules, you should play 2 if you're only going to play 1. You should start with 2, go back to 1, and then play 3.
Yeah,
who
that's how I
is-
would do it if I could do it all over again.
Who is so good that it converted my wife, who was an PC gamer and refused to touch a controller, into like it within 2 months she had her own Switch because that was the only way I was going to ever get to touch my Switch again.
Yeah,
Incredible.
it's so good. So a couple of the things that I love about it that like broke my entire brain on like why haven't RPGs just done this every time is well, now I'm blanking. Fuck. It's because I haven't played it in like a couple of weeks, so it's not fresh in my brain. But like, I love all of the like the hero classes that you can unlock and stuff are all tied to temporary party members that have their own loyalty quests. And right off the bat, the game sets up the expectations that it's like, oh, you're going to come to a new place, you're going to see their thing that they have wrong, you're going to meet a charismatic person who has character design and no one else does, and then y'all are going to team up for some reason, then you're going to fight a boss at the end, and then they're going to join your party. And they set that up very quickly, and then almost as immediately they spin that on their head. And it's even though you know the start and end point is I'm going to have to fight a boss at the end of this, the way they get there becomes really, really good and really, really varied and really, really different. And it's so good. And they do a lot of things that I wish sequels would do more, where it is 100% obvious that this is a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, but none of the characters know. And I think probably you get to the end and none of the characters know, and then it's only in the DLC where they figure it out. And it's very, very cool. I haven't beaten it, so don't spoil the ending for me if I'm wrong, Matt.
Damn it.
But
Okay.
But yeah, there's so much stuff where it's like, okay, well, what the fuck does that mean? Because of the shit that I know from the other two games, and they don't stop from keep doing that the entire time. Like it's not a spoiler because it's at the very, very beginning of the game, but your first goalpost is the sword from the Mechonis and the Bionis fight for the whole world map of the first game. Their sword has been shoved into the ground over there, and you're supposed to go there and see what's up. And what is that? What the fuck does that mean? Why is their sword there? I don't know, and I want to find out. And they keep doing that throughout the game.
Even the UI has like really awesome like clues and nonsense. I don't know if you noticed, Sam, but
Yeah.
like
So the people who all look like people from Xenoblade Chronicles 1, their UI is circular, like it is in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And all of the people who look like people from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, their UI is diamond shaped, like it is in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And a lot of little stuff like that is very, very good. Very, very cool.
and this isn't a spoiler. But I will say, like, the ending to that game, usually I don't care about the endings of games. Like, they don't land for me, and I know this about me. It's like one of 4 games endings that ever like landed for me, and I did the like, oh man, I gotta set my controller down and process what just happened to me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Oh, I remember the thing it is that made me be like, oh, this game is the best game, and I am going to take my time with it and savor it, even though I want to yell about it all the time. I'm trying to play it in private, and I did very poorly because I wanted to yell about it all the time. So the main characters are what's called a offseer. And what offseers do is they play the flute when they find a dead body to let their souls go to the afterlife. And that is just kind of a footnote on the things that who they are as a people. It's like both of the main characters are offseers, and they came at it for very different reasons. But the main plot is not about that. That's just a thing about them. But the first time you kill one of the big bads, they play the fucking flute for them, and it's fucking brilliant. And
They play a duet.
they
It's so good.
they play them together, and of course Mitsuda is still in charge of the music, so of course the song that they play is fantastic. And I want for all of you listening, and I've already told all of my partners and sent them links to it, I want a flute duet at my funeral playing this fucking song. It is so good. I love it so much. The fact that literally has killed very important people to the party, but we're not like that. We're gonna play the song, the flute for him is so fucking good, and it just
That's
gets better from there.
incredible.
And each time, even though both of them are playing the same song every time,
Mm.
each time they play is a different recording of them playing.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So like it's not just like up, drop the link in. Like it's so
That's
good.
really good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
God, I
it's
love
fantastic.
Monolith Soft.
Me too. I am very excited for the remake of X to come out, because big open worlds where I just gotta run around and do cool shit in them have become my bread and butter this year, and I'm very excited for the people who went on to make Breath of the Wild to see their first crack at it, and I can't wait.
Trish, we've been talking about Final Fantasy VII and Xenoblade, things that you haven't played, so you should get to talk for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure. If you think so. My next one's not going to be a very big one, unfortunately, comparatively. My next one is just the award for best update to an existing game that I liked, which was Potionomics. For those of you not aware, Potionomics had a big update recently, even though it came out 2 years ago, in which they added full voice acting to the entire game with an
That's crazy.
incredible cast list. Most of them are newcomers, but incredible. Like the person who plays the protagonist does truly one of the best voice acting jobs I've heard in a game. Just nails her personality so well. And the couple, like, industry veterans they do get are used very well. One of my favorite romance options is voiced by Colin Clinkenbeard, aka Monkey D. Luffy, who absolutely does a wonderful job. This update also added something the game sorely needed, which was a free love option, so you're not restricted to just dating one character, and you can date as many of them as you want in the same run. It also adds an endless mode, so you can just keep playing, and it added an easy mode and a hard mode. So a lot of stuff was added, and
Get back to that game.
You do. It's so good.
Yeah, I
It's
want to
so
play
good.
this game. It looks good.
It's great, and I love the diversity of the body types of a lot of the different romance options. I wish there was a little more. I love that among the dudes, one of the romance options is just this very big walrus guy. I think that's great because that's very much a body type. I know a lot of queer guys or queer people who like men are interested in and doesn't get represented in a lot of media or games where you can date characters. So it's great that that's there. I really wish there was like a woman equivalent among the lady romance interests, but still, I love all of them so much.
It's uh walrus guys. I got distracted by looking at this walrus man. um,
He's
so
a great character. I don't want to date him, but I do want to be his best friend.
So I'm going to real quick bring up two of my games that I know aren't on anybody else's list that are similarly, they weren't hard, but they were fun to press all of the buttons and watch the shiny things happen. I haven't finished either of them, so maybe both of them get hard. But the first one is Infinity Nikki. I spent about half of the last bonus episode talking about Infinity Nikki, and then it brought joy to my heart that everybody that was watching the Game Awards were like, "Oh, this game looks like it fucking whips," because it does. It is so good. So, basically, Infinity Nikki is a open world collectathon in the kind of in the way that Mario Odyssey is, and also kind of in the way that Breath of the Wild is. And today it broke my brain even more because I got to the first dungeon, and the dungeon is a Mario 64 level. And
oh my god, that's amazing!
And so it's you go in, and it's a place in the real world, so, quote unquote real world. So it's a sewer level, because of course it is. It's vaguely a JRPG. It's Chinese and not an RPG, but whatever. It has to have a sewer level, and it's laid out like it's a platformer level from back in the day, and it's beautiful, and I love it. But the frictionless way that it's like, oh hey, what's over there, and you just keep having that, and you don't have to stop and fight a Lionel ever, is wonderful, and I love it. And the other night I was going to mess around in it for a little bit and listen to some Wind and Truth to wind down for the night. And what happened is I stayed up until 4, not doing any quests, because the plot line to this game is like serious anime crazy bullshit. Like I land in this beautiful magical place of clothes, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, everybody's in a coma and we don't know why. It's very serious. So I was not wanting to do that while listening to a book. I just wanted to explore. And then I found a castle, like just a giant, like 2-scale, huge ass castle. And I explored all of that, and it was wonderful and amazing, and way too good to be a free game. I highly recommend it. The gotcha bullshit is gotcha bullshit, but like it's basically only cosmetics and not even like it doesn't the gameplay, except for when you get to the part that tells you there's a gotcha machine, hasn't brought it up. It's like it doesn't care about that. It actually just wants you to go and find stars in a giant open world and look fabulous while you do it. It's very, very good. The other one is The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's just to me, it is just as like mind-blowing and fantastic as Tears of the Kingdom and stuff was. Apparently everybody else just felt like it was Link's Awakening 2 and thought that it kind of petered out on them. But building bed staircases to jump over and go everywhere in Hyrule rules, and it's so much fun to just, I wonder if I can do that. Like I might have told this story back when it came out, but there's this puzzle that I did wrong in Echoes of Wisdom, because I thought what I was supposed to do was shimmy this boulder underneath me by like fucking around on the ladder and try and get it to move, and I eventually succeeded in doing it that way, to which when I got on the other side, I saw the ladder that leads up to the hole that was right outside. I went in the exit instead of in the entrance, and if I would have gone the other way, it would have been the easiest thing in the world. But I sat there forever trying to figure out this super hard thing, and was able to, because the game has no rules, and it's a whole lot of fun to play, and I should go and finish it one of these days, but there's a lot of video games.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that. I mean, the last time they made a game that was just kind of seen as a link to a link to the past again, was a link between worlds,
That
and
game rules.
that game rules. I don't even like A Link to the Past that much, which is heresy as a Zelda fan, but it's still my opinion. But A Link Between Worlds rules, and so hearing that they did that kind of again, but you get to play as Zelda with this one and doing all these cool physicsy things, that sounds great. That sounds very cool. I look forward to playing it when I'm able to.
Same. Game of the year that I have not touched, but I know it's game of the year.
Okay.
UFO 50.
Agreed.
That is game of the year, but I have not touched it,
It's real
and
good.
I know it is.
It's
I
real
know it's
good.
gotta be.
Bernard, it's so good.
So for those of y'all who don't know, UFO 50 is a collection of 50 full, newly developed retro-style games for a fictional retro console.
Incredible.
And unlike the Action 52 or whatever old NES carts that it's aping, every game is very different. It's not all like Jezball clones or something. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
One is a full ass JRPG, because of course there would be a JRPG on this thing, and it's stupid cool.
I have not touched it because I don't even know where I would start.
Yeah.
But I love that it exists, and it's been in development for a very long time, as you might imagine, seeing as it's 50 games. And there was a long time where there wasn't any news about it, and I was like, I guess it's been quietly canceled, but then it came out this year.
Oh yeah.
That sounds so cool.
So I had to look it up, and so it's not just like the Action 52 cartridge, it's also about one specific company.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are sequels to the games, like you get to see the games evolve over time.
That's cool.
On top of so like and it's like also across different systems. Like the LX1, the LX2, and the LX3. So like you not only does the evolution of the game change, but also like the quote unquote hardware it's on changes too. It's so good. It's so good.
I want to play it.
Me too.
Me 3.
I'm gonna go ahead and do another one because I can.
Do it.
Go for it. I'm out until we talk about the one that we'll talk about for a long time.
Best game I played on a whim. And this is a podcast game, but we were just like, what are we gonna do for a Halloween episode? And I was like, this game called Crow Country came out this year. We could play that.
Oh, Crow Country was so good.
It was so good.
It's so good.
I think Matt shouted at the same time me and Trish did. Matt, did you say it's so good as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. It's so
awesome. It's so good. I love Resident Evil 1 and Silent Hill 1, and Crow Country is very much doing that, but also doing its own thing. And I love it.
And for me, those are things that I have great respect for, but are parts of video game history that I only know by proxy and not directly. And so getting to play Crow Country is this homage to these things I'm aware of, but it getting to just be this fresh experience for me was so fun. And I love the protagonist.
Yes. She's so good.
It's wild that I can say this in a year, but it's not the like homage to that game era and like archetype that is my favorite one of those that came out this year. That's still Conscript. But it's still so good.
Conscript, I don't think I've heard of that.
I don't think I've heard of that one either.
I haven't either.
So, this is actually one of the games on my list. So, it's a horror game, but only because World War I was horrific. It is you're also, a French conscript.
Being French is horrific.
Yes, being French also, especially at that time, not great.
Especially at that time, yes.
You were busy being invaded by a bunch of people. Anyways, your character and your brother get like conscripted into the French army, and the whole game is post an attack on one of your ancillary trenches. You're trying to find your brother and get the heck out of there. But there's I don't remember anything like actually supernatural or like horrific about it other than like every time somebody attacks you can hear the whistle from the movies and it starts to like make your neck tingle because you don't know where they're coming from.
This looks fantastic.
It's really good. It's also really heart-wrenching because it's an excellent new entry in a genre of historical war games that aren't glorifying it.
I am gonna have to play this game. This game looks really good.
I'm intrigued.
Do yourself a favor when you play it. This isn't a tip anyone gave me, and it made my first run awful. When you kill people, try and stack the bodies, because you'll need to burn them, otherwise the rats will kill you.
Okay.
Just like in real life.
Yep.
This is a Team 17 game?
Team 17 is killing it, dude. Did you see Dredge?
Yeah.
I mean, then they make stuff they make. But that we'll not talk about those.
Yeah.
I don't know what they make and what they publish. I don't know.
It's Overcooked and Moving Out, and then Conscript.
They publish a lot of shit. Wow, I'm looking at this list.
Yeah. I see their publishing are a lot work, and it's sometimes it's really good stuff, and sometimes it's that other Avatar game came out last year.
Oh.
Yeah, Conscript looks cool, and I want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I'll go
Crow
next.
Country's really good too. Sorry to derail.
It's so good. My next award is favorite game to play with other human beings, so I can pretend I'm not a hermit mountain witch.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a game where there's two different strong contenders. Unfortunately, Rounds is going to have to be my runner-up. I didn't quite get this award, but I will talk about briefly. If I don't know if anyone else here on this call has played Rounds, but Rounds is fucking delightful. Rounds is a game in which you start off with just these little circles, and you're going to be you and your. It's 1v1. You are put on these weird arenas to fight in. You can shoot and you can block, which if you block perfectly reflects the other person's shot. You try to kill each other, but as you start, you each get to pick one card out of a set of I think like 5 you get to randomly pick from that will change your build a little bit. Maybe you get bigger bullets, or maybe you do it so whenever you block there's a little aura around you that freezes someone, or maybe you make it so your bullets bounce, and every time you lose a round, which is 2 it's a best of 3, every time you lose a round you get to pick another card, and then if you win 5 rounds you win. So over the time, as you start to if you start losing and you keep accumulating new cards, you start to develop a really solid build, which can help really swing the game in your favor as you start combining abilities that combine in really delicious ways. Like, okay, sure, I now have it so my ammo size is I basically have to shoot once and then reload. But the one bullet I shoot is enormous, it does a ton of damage, and it tracks you. So I don't particularly care. And it's just a very fun game, but that did not get the award. What got the award was Sentinels of the Multiverse, which I have been playing for years, but I also played a lot this year, and is just so fun to play with people. This is a game that started off as a card like board game, effect, like a card game, but like sitting around the cooperative not deck building, but cooperative card game, where they have made their own little superhero universe. There's a pastiche of DC and Marvel and even a few independent kind of stuff. And you get to pick a superhero and play as them, and each character has their own deck of cards, and there are villains you fight, and then the environments have their own deck. And they turned that into a game on Steam. There's a lot of DLC for it, but if you get it at the right sale, you can get it all pretty cheaply. And it's just a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun, and it also has just delightful lore. My personal favorite, which being there is a time traveling pirate villain named La Capitan, who's a Spanish pirate from like the 1600s who became a time traveler and started going through time, picking up other weird people to add to her crew. But then in like the big crisis event, her older self showed up as La Commodora, who is now a hero, having endured great hardship and having switched sides. And then after that, at some point, we got an alternate version of La Commodora, which is her younger self at the inflection point as she starts switching sides. And that kind of stuff is just delightful. And also her deck is kind of complicated, but in a very fun way. I love one of her main things is she has a card that lets you take the different phases of your turn in any order you want. And as a time travel character, I think that's such a fun mechanic to throw in there.
That's fantastic.
Brilliantly
Yeah, we
designed
played that
game.
on our New Year's stream. So I technically also
did.
played that this year, and it was a lot of fun. I definitely want to play more of it eventually.
It's very fun for sure.
I have to ask with the Steam version, did they update from the like hilarious art from the first edition of the game?
Kind of. So recently there was a thing where they had a thing with like there's like foil versions of cards you could get, and if you do that, it updates to new versions of old art, but only with like the character art, not with the cards in their decks. But yes, the art is for the oldest stuff of the game. The art is not great.
But that's what makes it good. That's what makes it so
fun.
Good.
It's very fun, and also just I love every card has flavor text on it. And references like a specific, like, you know, in this universe's comic story sort of stuff. And it's just, there's just so much great stuff. Also, there's a character who I could best describe as what if you mixed the Atom/Ant-Man with Starfire, and her name is Skyscraper. And I love her. She's so good.
Really cool tidbit. One of the Fire and Ice guy from My Hero Academia is actually based off the Fire and Ice guy from Sentinels of the Multiverse.
That's so cool! I love that!
And the best hero to look at Terrible Bad Art is Ra.
Yes.
The RA student advisor, because there's literally an art. He's like sitting at an office desk as an Egyptian god, like decked out as Ra, the Egyptian god, like filling out work. So he is forever the RA student advisor.
Incredible.
Anyway.
I watched the trailer for Rounds, and it looks fun.
It looks. The thing that got me into it is the guy who does Playframe, or does Playframe is his Let's Play channel. Oh God, I'm forgetting the series he does where he covers animation in video games. Hold on. I'm gonna look. New Frame Plus. The guy who does New Frame Plus. He played Rounds with a friend. He's done several videos of that, and they are so delightfully chaotic that's what turned me onto the game. And since there are mods you can get that adds it so you can play with more than 2 people, and the game was not designed for that, but that makes it even more fun.
I don't have any awards left except for my Game of the Year, but I do have a list of games that came out this year that I want to play.
Okay.
Ooh.
Animal Well, Buckaroo,
Yes.
Balatro. What were you gonna say something about Animal Well?
No, I just was agreeing that I also want to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon's Dogma 2, Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Imio, The Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club. I hear that game is, like, really good.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2, Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. The Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Peglin, Penny's Big Breakaway. Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven. Saga: Emerald Beyond, Shadow of the Ninja Reborn, Shiren the Wanderer: The Mystery Dungeon of Serpent Coil Island, Slitterhead, Stalker 2, The Thaumaturge, Touch Detective 3 plus the complete case files, and Unicorn Overlord.
Yeah, I agreed basically across the board. There,
There's some of those games where it's like, I want to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but I got some homework.
yeah. Every single person who has told me, "Hey Sam, you can just start with Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's the one that makes it into like a regular JRPG. Just start there." I don't believe them, so I have to play like 8 other games before my brain will let me play the one that seems most interesting to me.
And the problem is those games are really fucking good too.
They really
Like,
are.
I've really only played Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 0, and Yakuza 0 is like an absolute masterpiece, so it's like, I want to play the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I have not touched Yakuza yet, but I have a friend who has told me like the order I need to play them and has, espoused about it in extreme depth, and I'm always like, yeah, no, this sounds great. I would love to start it someday, but I also know once I do, I will be sucked down that hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't get out of the Yakuza.
You listed a bunch of games that came out this year that you would want to play. I'm going to list a game that I played this year that hasn't come out, that it gets my last award, actually. And if we need to, we can cut this out, but my last award is Best Indie Visual Novel I played this year, which is Possum Boy.
Oh, thank you!
You're
Agreed.
welcome. Truly, I loved it. It is not my first time beta testing a visual novel that a friend has made, but truly, it's so good. It's so delightful. I love so many things about it. I could gush about it for probably the whole length of a podcast episode. But I just want to say, of all and it's not the only indie visual novel I played this year. I played quite a few, but it is my favorite.
Yay! And it's not even done.
It's not even done yet.
Yeah, just imagine what it's going to be like when I make it work properly in a month.
Imagine those touching scenes at the end actually having art for them.
Yeah. Possum Boy rules, and I'm kind of glad that Maddie Grace became really busy and couldn't finish it so that I can be involved with it, because I wholeheartedly believe in this project, and I am very excited for everyone to be able to play it. I almost said when our deadline was, but that just means we're going to miss it if I say it out loud. So people will be able to play it soon, TM. Someday. Can I have a best hardware of 2024 before we gush about our game of the year?
Absolutely.
The Anbernic RG35X SP is so good, y'all. Like, emulation handhelds have kind of been a thing for about 4 or 5 years now, and all of them have sucked, but have been like, oh, if you like to tinker with things, you can get some cool usage out of it. And then the SP came out, and basically all 2D gaming that you want to do, including real Celeste and real Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge and real Balatro, are all playable on this thing that you can just keep in your pocket at all times and just whip it out when you want to. Using Mustard OS on it makes it where if you close it and don't play it for 10 minutes, it puts a save state in your game and turns off. So then when you turn it on, it loads that save state so that the battery life is actually good on this thing. Because that's been the worst part about all of them, is that you can basically only play it for like 3 or 4 hours, and that includes if you have it put to sleep. But not here. It's so good. It has made me enjoy playing video games again. And only one game. Oh, I technically have one more. So this ties into Pokemon Unbound. Is the only game that I've beaten. on this thing. That's not a podcast game. I've played bajillion podcast games on it, but just the ability to be like, Scarlett was at soccer practice, and I just pulled out my SP and played some Pokemon on it, and then she needed me to get her a water or whatever, and I closed it, and then I came back to it later, and it just is so good. I highly recommend it. It's only like $60, so every single person I think should have this one. And if you aren't a fan of the Game Boy Advance SP, they're coming out with one like next month. That's the Candy Bar Game Boy Advance. Like, same thing. They just stole Nintendo's homework and has the same chip and shit inside. It's very, very good.
And if you don't like that one, wait another month and Ambernick will make another device.
Absolutely. Ambernick releases a bunch of them, and it can be overwhelming. And the answer is just get the SP. All the ones that they've released since then are the same chip on the inside anyways, but they all have like asterisks on them, and there's no asterisk on the SP. Just get it. It's good.
Yeah. My hardware of the year is the cube-shaped desktop that I'm recording this podcast on that my girlfriend got me. It's wild. I say got me. It's hers that she got a new PC and gave me this one. I can't tell you its name except that the word fractal design is on the case on the outside of it. But it's delightful. It's really the small things. Like recently, I started booting up Paper Mario 64 and emulator again to do randomizers of it again, and I hadn't done that since switching to the new engine, and it feels very silly to be like, oh my god, I can play a Nintendo 64 game without any weird technical difficulties occurring. But I had that happen on my laptop a lot, and it makes me so happy that I can do that now, or that I could. I've recently might have installed Fallout 4 for reasons I don't want to get into right now, but I did install Fallout 4 in this thing, and apparently you can play the game on ultra graphics, which I fucking know my laptop couldn't have done that. So that's nice.
That's awesome. Love to have a computer.
It's nice having a good computer. My girlfriend's the best. I'm gonna see her. I'm gonna be taking a train over to see her in 3 days. I'm really excited.
Should we talk about the game now, Bernard?
You should talk about the game.
Yeah, we should talk about the game. I guess we can talk about Astrobot. We did spend 2 hours talking about Astrobot a while ago.
It is the it is one of the best platformers that I've ever played, and
it is like the only non-Mario platformer I've played, 3D platformer I've played that I would put on the level of Mario 3D platformers.
Yeah, it's stupid good. Like I'm trying to not have another 2-hour podcast just going over every little bit of it, but it absolutely deserved its win at the Game Awards. I didn't think it was going to get it, but the fact that it did, it truly 100% is Game of the Year. And I need to go back and play the free DLC and episode.
They just released
levels.
more DLC last night, or the 12th. It's a single world.
I need it.
I rented the game, so I haven't played any of the DLC that came out later. I know it's just a handful of levels, but I want to play them.
Yeah. It wins my Game of the Year for all of the reasons that we have gone over at length in the other episode, but the main reason it's Game of the Year is Storm loved it and he has cleared it out, and watching your kid love a video game for the first time is kind of amazing, and big recommend to all the parents out there. I'm assuming if you're a parent and you're listening to this podcast, you already have played games with your kid, but it's wonderful. It's fantastic. He's really good at it, and it's so good. I love the game.
Astrobot, good.
I need to
Ah.
play it.
You absolutely do.
It is. It's a shame that it's only on PlayStation 5 and can't really be on anything else.
Yeah. It uses the hardware of the PlayStation 5 that everyone else has forgotten that the PlayStation 5 has.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like you walk over a metal surface and your the HD rumble plus the speaker on your controller just has like the little tick 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 as you run, and
It's so good.
It's so good. It shouldn't be this effective, and yet it is. It's
Also, I love when you go to a place and there's just a whole bunch of shit everywhere and you can spin around and knock it. Like
Mhm.
when you're in a pyramid and there's just jewels and gems everywhere, because why not? And you just knock
Mhm.
them all around.
Yeah, and 90% of the time, it's there just to be like, hey, look how many polygons we can put on screen and make them interactable. And then you get to the part of the game where like you have magnets, and so now all that shit is important.
Yes.
It's so good. I love
It's so
Astrobot.
good. And I love the level where you can shrink, and
Mhm.
with the power of the PlayStation 5, just you can immediately shrink down to be super tiny and everything still looks good and detailed. They can do that. They can just have the uh game be detailed and high res enough that you can shrink down real tiny and have everything still look good, so you don't have to wait for it to load or anything.
Mhm.
My favorite's the
It's
bathhouse one, where you turn into the
The
sponge.
bathhouse one is really
the
good.
sponge keychain.
Yes.
yeah.
I love it.
I love it for the fact that Team Asobi is the remnants of Japan Studio, who are the remnants of Contrail, who made Wild Arms, and Rudy Roughnight is in Astrobot. So technically, if you squint, Wild Arms won one game of the year this year.
I hope that Astrobot winning Game of the Year means that Sony will give Team Asobi all the resources and creative freedom and everything they need to make a million more amazing games. Because, wow, Astrobot is so good.
Like,
I would, of course, love more Astrobot, but also, if Team Asobi wants to do something else, I'm sure they could do something great.
yeah, like I would love Astrobot 4, which is hilarious that this is the this is the third game, and kind of came out of nowhere. But I would love Astrobot 4, but I also would love if they could be basically be like, so hey Sony, remember how you killed us and we did all of the Levity games before? Can Team Asobi make a Gravity Rush 3? Can they make a Wild Arms 6? Can we just
Can we make an Ape Escape?
make an Ape Escape? Like, oh, I would love if Team Asobi was given Ape Escape and just made it again.
I mean, they have proof of concept.
They do. They have a minimal viable product for an Ape Escape game inside of Astrobot.
Yeah, just make an Ape Escape, make a mini God of War, make a mini Horizon, make a Loco Roco.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, you're joking, but like they've been doing that with Lego games for like 20 years, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean they literally did a Lego Horizon game, which is still one of the weirdest concepts I've ever heard.
Yeah. I love the Lego Horizon exists because it is the final death knell in the console war, because now the Nintendo Switch has a Microsoft game and a Sony game on it. The console war is dead. It makes me very
Yeah.
happy. Especially because the people from Team Asobi thanked Mario in their Game of the Year speech, which is so classy.
Did they actually thank Mario and not like thank Nintendo or cite Mario, but thank Mario?
I think so, but I don't know.
Because that would be funny. I want to thank the Academy. I want to thank Jeff Keighley. I want to thank Mario.
Yeah, Astrobot rules so hard, and I want color to come back in my video games. And
Man, I'm just thinking about if Team Asobi got to make a full Ape Escape game and how good that would be.
Oh, it would be so good.
I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, I definitely like. I had my eye on them on what would they do next, because I knew they were what's left of Japan Studio, and I love every Japan Studio game. Uh, but now it's even more like I want to see specifically what these developers that made Astrobot do next.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fantastic. But yeah, Astrobot rules. Trish, did you have an overall game of the year?
No, I didn't. I did all my silly awards.
All right, so I think that will wrap us up, and so we can go to the post show and talk more about all these video games that we really, really like. So if you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can donate to help support us. If you do, you'll get some extra benefits. At $1 a month, the Gadabout tier gets access to our bonus feed, where we have after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show that are backer only. At $5 a month, the Warrior tier gets the above, but I also read out their names at the end of every episode, like this. Shoutouts to Frosthair, Dragonslayer19, Kildranus, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron524, and JFro Prime. And then at $20 a month, the Luminary tier gets all of the above, plus a 1 cent shout out to whatever they're passionate about. Shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Vimk, who says, the bright bead of Dominicus winked benignly down from the mouth of the long vertical tunnel. And it's Claire Time says, for you TTRPG nerds out there, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, but I just think it's neat. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
I'm an intruder.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.